Hi everyone. 9/11's coming up, and I wanted to go over some of the sky that appeared at that time and how it relates to this year. And I also found it really interesting that where the sun was on 9/11, it's actually on the back foot of Leo. And it's not particularly an important star, but there's a star above it where the sun doesn't reach up to, but it's on the same line, grid line in the sky. And that star has a huge significance relating to Jesus, the Messiah. So I thought that was something I wanted to share with you guys because I do think the whole ritual between the two towers actually relates to the two pillars. Okay, so it's like the sun and the moon. And, the spirit ascension is on the middle path between the two pillars. But I think they did like a ritual against that path, against the middle path, like to kind of say, we don't want good energy about that path. And they wanted to kill the Jesus path that's on the center pillar, and create fear around it. So I just wanted to go over that with you guys and show you how that all relates to your own body. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that. Now I started looking at some of the numbers and the time. Here it's saying it's 8:45, but I found other information that said it was 8:46. But I didn't realize there was 19 terrorists, and the number 19 relates to the moon cycles because the moon does a certain cycle every 19 years, and that's why this year is so important because it's 19 years after 9/11, and the moon happens to be in the same location this year. So it was also Flight 11 that crashed into the first building. And then they made 37 calls to 9/11 for the Flight 93, which ends up being to 12, breaks down to 3 again. And then at 10:03, there was the Flight 93 crashes. So that's number 13. So these numbers are always really relevant, okay? 37 relating to 37 times 3 is 111, 37 times 6 is 222, and 37 times 9 is 333. So that's 37 is a very magic number. And 369, being Tesla, the key to the universe. But it also relates to Cancer, which is 69 is the symbol, and Trinity being 3. So there's, the moon. It's always back to the moon because 69 is the moon. Okay. So when I see number 37, the first thing I think of is 369. And here's the wheel. Lots of stuff loaded in communications. We even have Cryon in Ophiuchus, which is, Pluto's moon, but it relates to, that's Cryon and Ophiuchus. That's the exalted planet that rules that constellation. So it's not a planet, but it's a moon. But anyhow, so it's all relating into communication. And then the ninth house is all about spiritual freedom. And that's where we have Saturn and Jupiter. So it was really heavily loaded with the moon in between. And we have Saturn there between the horns of Taurus. And then we have Jupiter on the pillars. And how these relate to me through the ascension process through your body is the horns, I explained in my last video, is the lateral ventricles in your brain. And then the pillars are your thymus, okay? And then the moon represents your heart chakra, okay? So, this is why they did it at that time, because it was symbolizing our own body's ascension. We also had Uranus, which is heaven, right in Aquarius, which is like Jesus. Then we had, Neptune in Capricorn, which is the sheep. And then, or Enki, it's actually Enki, that constellation. Then we have Mars right on the sphere of Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is in war at the Golden Gate, and Jupiter is actually placed in Gemini at that point in time. So, that's why Jupiter took down the towers, okay? Because they were symbolizing the ritual that was in the sky, and they had to make it happen, or they thought they had to make it happen to kind of create fear about our own ascension process. Okay, everything that's happening in the sky relates to our bodies and our freedom out of here. So we have to really understand when they talk about constellations or planets where that is in our bodies. In my next video, I will explain all that, and I'll explain all the crosses and which cross you're on and what mantras relate to you carrying that cross. And you can see here, Venus was in the Lion's Gate and the Sun was right at the head of Virgo, but actually in Leo. And Mercury was like between the Ascension star and the Harvest star, which was where Mercury should be, because depending on which path you go, Mercury decides which path you go, okay? Because it's your throat, your thymus. Mercury is your thymus, it's your throat chakra. It's your two pillars inside your body that you need to activate. It's your flame. It also relates to your pyramid. Okay, it's all to do with that, and that's why Mercury is so important. So this star called Zoma, which is just above, where the sun was, is actually on the 11th parallel in the sky. So that's no coincidence. And it has a really big importance in the Kabbalah. The constellation Leo is the 11th number. And then it also has a meaning in ancient texts. Okay, so here it literally means fruit. It also means fish, oracle, and then in the Egyptian, it was the anointed one, where the word Messiah comes from. Okay, so it's also the wise, the great. So the sun was just below that star because the sun never gets up that high on Leo. So that's why, and of course, you always have to know which star really refers to the one where the sun's passing through the elliptical, because of the ley line, the lateral grids that go through the sky. Then you know if it's really that star that's relating to it. And then, of course, Enki's hanging out in Gemini with Jupiter, who's right between the two towers. His name's not there, though, but that's where he is. And Enki is Mercury. So there you go. He's with Jupiter. And you know how Jupiter was in the belly of Virgo on September 23rd, 2017? It's the child. So Jupiter is like God of this realm, or represents Jesus because it's Jesus. So, yeah, so they just wanted to make that sky symbolism be something terrible, which actually, it was actually showing like really positive signs. Where all the planets were, so they had to destroy it. So the moon phases September 10th. The moon was actually between the horns of Taurus on Saturn. And then you can see the other moon cycles here. We have a new moon on September 17th and a first quarter on September 24th. So that's mirroring this year to a T. So here we have September 2nd again, September 10th, the new moon September 17th. But then we also have our crazy full moons on October 1st and October 31st. And then we have the new moon, which is in conjunction with Mercury, on December 14th. And then we have the winter solstice with the first quarter moon. So we've got even a heavier loaded year than we did in 2001. Okay, so this was the whole Revelation 12 symbol. Okay, so we had the three planets, Venus, Mars, and Mercury, which add to the other stars of Leo that completes the crown. Enki was in conjunction with the sun, and they're on Zavijava. They're on the Ascension star. Okay, and then Jupiter's there, and then the moon's at her feet. Okay, so that is why Brenda is like taking all her Book of Revelations from this sign. And this is what awoken me a lot when this happened. And plus with the other eclipse, the eclipse going through the United States, I was like, wait a second, something's going on. And again, Neptune, it reminds me of Enki, is on the water of Aquarius, which is Jesus. So lots of symbolism at that time when Jupiter was in the womb or in the belly for 9 months. Now here's the sign to Christmas Eve this year, and it's 1188 days, 169 weeks and 5 days. So that's like Cancer and Venus So, because 5 is Venus, because it's a pentagram that, Venus and Earth makes in their orbits. And then 69 is Cancer. It's the moon. So it's like Venus is the woman, and then the moon is the female. So there's always this bipolar kind of thing going on between Venus and being a woman, but also Venus has male attributes, like I explained in my last video, where you have to switch Venus on the ladder. So, but anyhow, 5 is Venus and 69 is Cancer. And then we have the magic Freemason number 33. And then when I see 88, I always think of Mercury because that's its orbit, but also Trump, and then of the gematria, and then also the constellations. There's 88 constellations. Now, the other date that Brenda talks about the Book of Revelations is she's got it that the rapture is going to happen September 28th. But I just was like, oh, I wonder how many days is to the, Christmas Eve when the moon's on Sittis's eye, and it's in basically Aries I am, which is Mars. We're all going to Mars, so we're going to I am. And there you go again. It's 88 days. I was like, no way. 2 months and 27 days, but the hours really kind of, have a mirror there. It's 2112 hours, and the halfway mark between the two solar eclipses going across the United States is 2121 days. So there's a bit of a mirroring going on there. That goes to December 14th when Mercury is in conjunction with the Sun in Ophiuchus. So I'm kind of like, that looks pretty interesting that the Bible's got it going to September 28th, but I still think it's Christmas Eve. I'm sure they'd code it like that somehow. They're not going to just tell you exactly when it's going to be. And then this year we have Pluto between Saturn and Jupiter in the house, the family house, and then the moon again is still up in the 9th house. So that would make the sun in the exact same location and the moon in the exact same location and in the same houses as it was in 2001. So you can see here this year we have Enki right in Taurus, and Uranus is on the Aries, the I am, but Mars is also in a constellation that's ruled by Jupiter, again, like it was in 2001 when it was in Sagittarius. So you can see the moon is right on the hammer of Orion, which is like the hammer of God, and that's where it was in 2001. And Venus is right on the manger of the beehive cluster, the manger of Jesus. So we got a lot of heavy loaded stuff on September 11th, the same as we did in 2001. And everything's about the sun pillar and the moon pillar. I really find it interesting that Kamala Harris is going to most likely, replace Biden because we need a black woman for the moon, and Trump is the sun pillar. And then we have Venus, and Saturn is the key, and Mercury is at the bottom. And I'm going to go through, like I said before, all the crosses to kind of show how this all works within the body. And it's not a coincidence that Melania, uncovered the rose garden and got the pillars showing. I knew it was regarding the pillars, the Greek pillars, but also the pillars, the Freemason pillars. And there she is sitting between the two pillars at almost like a doorway, and she's got her Masonic black and white shoes on. And then the other one, she's dark, so like the moon, and then the sun, the half sun kiss window, which is referring to the sun. So yeah, the symbolism's everywhere. I don't know if you follow William Moon on Twitter. He's the White House photographer. He's always going on about the evergreen trees. And I'm looking at these things, right? The thymus that we have to activate for our throat chakra, or Gemini, or Twin Towers chakra. I was like, oh my God, it's 2 trees. So this is the pillars. It is the trees, the evergreen trees. And it's learning how to activate that because it relates to your DNA, which actually is named regarding the pyramid, which is the etymology for pyramid is pyra, which is the fire, right? So you have to create the fire. So I created this little meme, and this is explaining all this. The New World Order symbol is about, can you activate your DNA and get there? If not, you're going to be locked down in the New World Order kind of smart city, regulations, vaccine. But if you decide not to do that and you want to be more with Gaia and activate your vagus nerve and be more on the nature path, that's where we're going. Okay, so we're going to be the glorified ones, while the other ones are, not ready for that, and they need to just be kind of locked down. And I do believe the 5G is going to help them not get sick from the new energies that are coming into the planet, because these energies are going to be really intense and you have to know how to transfer them up through your kundalini, and those people won't be able to. Okay, so instead of them all dying, they're going to be in these sustainable living, kind of keeping the frequency at a certain level so they can manage it. Okay, and they won't be able to come out into the nature. That's the way I see it. I actually found a YouTube channel that's talking about the same thing. So I was like, I was just blown away that somebody else got the same download as me. And they have a community in Portugal, and they were talking about all this, and that's what they see is happening. So it's not just me. So that's comforting for me, because, it seems so obvious to me, but other people are starting to see it as well. And I'm going to leave you with this Rick Jarvis. I don't know if you saw it on Twitter. And yeah, we're all going to die soon, but some of us are getting transformed. Some of us are going into smart cities, and some of us will pass away with this event. So yes, it's crazy times, but exciting times as well.